Say it. You are correct. You win.
Hey everybody, this is Everything is Fine, Nothing is Ruined Sideshow Review. And today, we are roboticizing, exercising,
Extremicizing.
And basically we are reviewing Ghost in the Shell.
Woo!
Yeah.
Yep.
One of you is the puppet master, and one of you is Kusanagi.
But you'll have to figure
Shotgun
it out. on your own.
Kusanagi.
Yeah, fair enough. And you have light hair, you have... Yeah, that makes sense.
My hair's not that light.
Yes, it is.
It's not that light.
Lighter compared to hat. Look at that.
True.
Like a black mass of death.
Well, it also
brown.
looks like...
I know.
Like an English oak.
Uh-huh. Like a joke. Yeah. Anyway, so...
Ghost in the Shell!
Ghost in the Shell!
Also introductions.
Introductions. Yeah, we have
Who are
Greg.
you?
I'm Tristan.
Who are you?
I'm Greg.
Who am I?
I don't know. Who are you?
I'm Chapple.
Who are you?
That's it. Oh. Wait,
I
wrong
mean-
movie.
That's
Yeah.
part of that's part of this movie. I mean,
Yeah,
who are you? Who was anything? That's totally transhumanistic in that sense.
I'm just a shell.
A shell of a man.
Yep.
Yeah. With a ghost inside.
my.
AKA the soul. Anyway, so Ghost in the Shell.
Ghost in the Shell.
It's all about cybernetics, cybernetic implants, and basically full conversion cyborgs in which you have taken your brain and encased it in a robotic body. With
And what makes a
human-
person a person?
Yeah, what makes you a person? Person?
What makes you human, man?
Yes.
Yeah.
And if you listened to that topic cast a few weeks ago, where Kenny and I went on about cyberpunkness, you would understand the idea of transhumanism because we explained that actually in depth. But this movie focuses on that quite a bit. In fact, it's the idea of what makes a human a human.
Yep.
But we have an actual plot to this movie. It's not just all about that stuff.
That's true.
So this movie focuses on Major Kusanagi and her team in Division 9, in which
Section 9.
Sorry, Section 9.
Section 9.
Yep.
In Section 9, in which they are basically tracking down cyber crimes and other things to do with cybernetics and that kind of stuff. They happen to run into a...
Super hacker.
super
Initially,
hacker
they
is
think
best
it's a
word for
super
it.
hacker called
Yeah.
the Puppet Master.
Puppet Master.
Yep.
But it turns out to be much more than that. I'm not going to spoil what it actually is unless we get to that point. But the twist as to what the Puppet Master actually is pretty cool.
Yeah.
This movie is pretty short, so you can watch it in basically, let's see, it's only about an hour and a half, if that.
Yeah, I think it's only an hour and a half long. It seems longer just because of the way it's shot.
Yep.
And
Well,
because it has a lot of pensive moments where you're allowed to digest what's just happened, because some really weird stuff happens, especially
Yes.
for when this movie came out.
This movie was released in 1995.
Yeah.
And this movie is, released in 1995. The manga originally was released back in, I believe, 89?
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, but, the original manga creator was Shiro Masamune.
Yep. Same guy that wrote Appleseed, isn't it?
That's right.
Yep.
Yep.
Which is also a pretty awesome movie series.
Fantastic dystopian series.
Yep. I'm a much bigger fan of Ghost in the Shell than Appleseed, but that's, per taste. But, yes. So, this movie takes a huge focus onto, the transhumanistic transhumanistic accents towards, what
self-identity.
Self-identity.
Yeah.
So basically, this movie is trying to focus you on what makes a person a person. Mm-hmm. You get to meet a full cast of the, Section 9 characters. Two are, who are fully cybernetic in some way. Because of, Aisha.
Yeah.
But then there's Tokasa and the Chief, who actually are not cybernetic for the most part.
There's some implants.
Yeah, they actually do have the brain implants.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's
It
right.
also depends on the timeline with all the other movies and stuff, as we discovered, because there was a little confusion.
Yeah, there's actually some confusion because there's a TV show based off the Ghost in the Shell series as well. Technically, 2 seasons of it, and basically there's a few differences there. I believe this movie actually takes place way after the original, way after the TV series.
Timeline-wise.
Timeline-wise,
yeah.
yes. This was the first one. This was...
this was the first property, besides the manga, to be created. So let's get into our worst and best. So we're going to start, of course, with the worst things. Greg, what do you think would be the worst thing this movie has to offer?
So, like, probably I'll go into it more. Like the best thing that I have about this movie, like, has to do with a lot of the artwork. But one of the things that I actually consider to be a bit of a negative is the fact that a lot of the characters, when they talk via the implants, they just don't move.
Yeah.
And it's supposed to make them look and feel like they aren't really human, or that when they're using these implants, it makes them seem more robotic.
Yep.
And it is on purpose, but it does, like, a good example is actually Briarios from Appleseed. Because, like, he is a completely he does not have facial features, if you've ever seen Appleseed. But in a lot of the
He's
more
got
recent...
5 eyes that you can see.
But in the more recent movies, he actually animates a lot when he talks, and it helps humanize him, even though he has no facial features and no animation to his actual lips.
In the original series, though, his antenna did move while he was speaking to let you know that he was having dialogue.
Yes.
Yeah.
In this, there's nothing.
But yeah, when people are using their implants, they just do not animate whatsoever.
Yeah, the only way you know who's talking is A, you recognize the voice, and B, the camera's pointing at them.
Exactly. And I mean, for some characters I completely understand, but like there are mostly human characters that have the implants that just do not emote.
Yeah.
And I feel like if you were a 99% human and you had the implants, you'd still be moving and doing something.
Yeah.
Even though you're using this implant. So it's a small thing to have a problem with, but it is kind of a weird thing.
Just so you know, Standalone Complex actually fixes that, so a lot of the time they're using their implants, they're still doing stuff alongside that.
Sure.
Which is to both speed up the show itself, to keep the show flowing, but to also give a little more life to everybody, because, like I said in this movie, sometimes when they stop to use their brain implants, their brain, they have a connection between all 4 of them to actually talk to each other.
Mm-hmm.
By the implant. That way they don't have to actually break any sort of radio silence or that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So they had that to give them some covertness to their missions, and in this sense they actually are able to do that. But when they do that, they just kind of stop and go like,
"This don't move."
Yeah, never move.
And now, that being said, given when the movie came out, given the fact that a lot of the scenes in this movie, I'll go into that when I get into what I consider the best part of the movie, but because so much of this movie is so well animated, it could be that they just used this as we gotta save money somewhere, guys.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's what it is, but maybe that's the excuse. I don't know. But if I had to choose a bad thing, that's definitely what I could consider.
Yeah. That's fair.
At least for the human characters, the mostly human characters, the main character, sure, have her be super stoic and just cold and clinical, because that's her character. She is cold and clinical, right? But the mostly human people, it's they should totally be moving or doing something with their head or eyes or anything.
Some kind of indication that they exist.
Yeah, no, it's not just the movie's just frozen.
Yeah, fair.
The only thing that really bugged me about the movie, and it's only a couple of shots near the end of the movie, it's when the Major is talking to the puppet master, and they use that friggin' fisheye lens effect.
Yeah.
It's not actually fisheye lens, but they draw it so it looks like it's fisheye lens. And this this is a product of the 90s, is the overuse of the fisheye lens. Every skater kid had a video where there was a fisheye lens and them hopping boards and stuff, and it's still used.
Oh, I did too.
But they're different lenses now. They're not as dramatically, it seems, dramatic in effect.
Well, it's like GoPros are technically fisheye, but they aren't as egregious.
Right, yeah.
They aren't as egregious.
But it's just it happens in a lot of animes, and I hate it. I don't know what it is about fisheye effects. It's just, especially when it's a super close-up. When it's a large panning shot, it's fine. It's not as jarring. But when literally the two people are face-to-face and they give each other fisheye lens view, it's what are you doing here? What is the purpose of adding that effect to an anime shot?
It's basically to accent the weirdness of whatever they're doing in that scene, but at the same time...
Yes, it's already weird enough. You don't have to smash me in the face by drawing it in fisheye.
I absolutely agree. I don't like the fisheye lens at all, but...
It's the one thing that pulls me out of the movie whenever I watch it is that scene. It's just
Yeah, fair.
Because nothing else in the movie has any kind of shot effects like that, really. Like, there's some quick change shots, but it's all standard shots. There's never any, like, weird visual distortion effects.
No, that's true. That's true.
Yeah. So, anyways, that's my worst thing. What gets your goat?
For me, it really has to be... Yeah, it really has to be just the flat voice acting sometimes. It's just... It's an older movie, which is fine, so it doesn't have the advanced...
We did watch the dubbed one, by the way, folks, in case you're wondering.
Yeah.
We do generally watch dubbed versions of animes, and I know a lot of people will be like,
blasphemers.
But the long story short, we're trying to evaluate it on all its merits, so I don't want to read the movie while I'm watching it.
That's fair. And for me, honestly, I usually take dub over sub as well. That's just because I'd rather just listen to the movie instead of having to really read it, like you said.
It's also the version I grew up with.
Yeah, me too.
Right? Like, it's the voice I recognize. Whenever I tried to watch, like, an anime that I always had watched dubbed, watch it subbed with the original voice acting, it never felt right.
It's a little weird, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, I originally watched Evangelion dubbed first off, and then I watched...
It's really weird, eh?
Really, when it's subbed, it's really weird sounding. Yeah.
Well, yeah, I tried going back to Gundam Wing, because that was, like, one of the very first animes I ever watched, and then I just couldn't watch it when it was not dubbed.
I agree fully. But, so...
Some of the flat voice acting,
That's the only part that really takes me in the movie sometimes, because it's a product of its time. When it was released here, it was like the late 1990s to early 2000s, and honestly, the voice acting was never really good back then. Even though it was a mega production, and they were well known for having the better voice acting at the time. At the same time, though, of course, it was still pretty bad.
Well, even if you compare this to like Cowboy Bebop. Like, Cowboy Bebop has great voice acting.
Yes.
Whereas this definitely feels a lot flatter than that.
That's because directors actually had a lot more hand in the actual voice acting itself, because in Cowboy Bebop, they took a bigger interest in that.
Yeah.
Because the guy that... I can't remember his name, but the guy that actually does Cowboy Bebop and those shows, he's actually a bit of a Americanophile, where he actually loves American stuff. Like, he loves jazz and those kinds of things. So... Yeah, he took a bigger interest in the actual voice acting because he's like, I want to make this good. I want to make this as best as I can for an American audience. Meanwhile, Ghost in the Shell, the voice acting is pretty good. It's not amazing, but it works here or there. But there are quite a few lines that just kind of fall flat. Like when Kusanagi is talking about her scuba diving habit, her hobby.
Yeah.
And she's like, I like scuba diving because, when I get to the bottom and, get to kind of reflect upon who I am. And it's that, the nature of, I might die doing this because I'm in a cybernetic body that's heavier than a human body. Mm-hmm. But, what if one of my ballast fails or that kind of thing and I just sink and just suffocate? It's that kind of stuff where it's just like, when she's trying to deliver that line, it unfortunately sounds robotic, even though it's supposed to be a humanizing moment.
Yeah. Well, it's like the most humanizing moment for her in the entire movie.
Yeah.
So it's like, I'm still pretty robotic.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
Like, when it comes to the Major, it's a point of the movie to make her feel like it's not a human.
Yeah.
Like, they try to make her seem alien in speech and design and how she acts. The fact that she never blinks throughout the entire friggin' movie.
Yep.
Right? Like, that's all done on purpose to make her feel alien.
Yep.
Because she doesn't treat her body like anyone else would. Because if you ever watch Standalone Complex after watching the movie, you find out that the Major has had an artificial body pretty much since she was a child.
Yep.
Her body was garbage when she was born.
One of her first memories is of crushing her doll when she first got her cybernetic body.
Yep. That's literally the intro to the Standalone Complex series, which is also worth watching. But she's always had a robotic body, so she doesn't act like a human because she doesn't know what that is.
Yeah, exactly.
When it comes to, like, little idioms.
That's right.
So, yeah. So what do you super dig?
One of the things I super love about this movie...
Yeah.
One of the things I absolutely adore about this movie is just the stellar animation.
Yeah.
Like, the intro sequence is a perfect example of just, like, where they're assembling her from, like, little flaps and things all closing and sealing, and then, like, the process of her putting, like, the skin basically on.
Yeah.
Like, that whole sequence is just amazing to watch. Like, a lot of the fight scenes are just... Even, like, fight scenes of those calibers, it's like, they're so unique because of the fact that the way that they're done and animated and stuff. Like, even I mentioned while we were watching, it's like, especially considering it was 1995, like, if they had tried to do this as a live-action movie, it would have been terrible.
Yeah.
Like, there's a sequence at the end of the movie...
Guess what?
Where she pulled... and I still... Yeah, whatever. But there's a sequence at the end of the movie where she's pulling a hatch open on a tank. And that sequence, it's like, you can't even imagine what that would look like if they tried to do that with, like, practical effects.
Yeah, well, first off, like, her cybernetic muscles actually bulge out and basically rip her body in half because she's trying so hard.
And then,
she goes from looking like an assassin to looking like China from WWE.
Yeah, basically.
Just because it's an artificial body, what does it do? It compensates.
Yep.
So, like, the things would rearrange and then bulge, and then, like, it ultimately snap and break in that scene, and, like, all of that stuff is just amazing and immaculate, and everything about the movie, like, all the stuff like that. Like, and it actually is the reason why I chose the bad part, which is the dialogue, like, using those dialogue scenes, because it's just, like, some of this movie is some of the best animation you could have seen for its time, and it's still some of the best animation.
Some of the animation's the best you've ever seen.
Yeah.
And then it's like, you've got scenes where it's like, there's no animation at all, so you're like, huh, alright, but whatever. Yeah. I mean... It's still an amazing movie to check out. And again, like, the action sequences are super cool because of it.
Mm.
Like, even the opening sequence is, like, extremely iconic. Even if you haven't seen this movie, you've probably seen something to do with that.
You've probably seen the fight that's in the not gully.
In the waterway?
Yeah. In the floodgates.
Yeah. Because that's such a cool scene. Like,
it is.
She puts on her cloak, because she's got, like, a perfect stealth body cloak thing. And she's fighting a guy and just, like, breaking his wrists and arms as he's trying to fight her. And it's just like, she's invisible, but appears for, like, just glimpses and will hit him and send him flying. And, like, it's all so really well done and immaculate for how they do it. The attention to detail is great. So
it's true.
Artwork is amazing.
A little on from there, I guess. Chapel.
Right along with, like, the artwork, like, the animation being flawless, I like the design portfolio this brings. Like, the way things are designed in it, like, just the way that robots are designed, the segmentedness of it, like, it looks like you could actually, if that thing was real, take a screwdriver and pull it apart in some logical way.
Yep.
Right? Like, even the ports on people, some of the cars are a bit sort of 90s future cars, but that's to be expected. Some of them are pretty cool. The weapons don't turn into super space weapons.
No.
Because the most effective weapon is a weapon you can rely on, and we have most of those. That's why the AK-47 hasn't changed its design in 100 years, or however long it's been since that thing's been
50
created.
Years?
It's ridiculous.
Yeah,
it's World War
that's why...
II?
No, it's not World War II.
Isn't it? Just
no,
after
it's
World
like
War
Korean
II?
War.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah.
Alright, anyways, I'm digressing. Like they're using guns. They're using modern guns.
Like the high-powered bullets.
Well, like, even Togusa's kind of like, even though these guns are still very reliable, he's like, I prefer my old revolver because this is the most reliable thing I can think of.
Yeah. So, but there's a lot of little things that how everything's designed, how cyborgs interact with the computer. That is one of the greatest scenes in the movie when they just go and their fingers extend and split 3 ways. They go from having 10 fingers to having 30 and start wailing on these computers. It's like, that makes perfect sense. That's a really clever way instead of just jacking in so they can actually use a terminal and not risk getting back hacked.
Yep, exactly.
Right? There's all those little things, like how the helicopters are designed. Like when the helicopters, near the end, the stealth copters, they roll out their stabilizers, and from the bottom they look like bird wings.
Yep.
But really it's just a fin that's rolled out with a whole bunch of airfoils on it to stabilize it so you can do a sniper shot from a quarter mile in the air in a helicopter.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, that's a really cool design thing. Whether or not it actually is practical is neither here nor there, but it's neat.
Yeah, a lot of the style decisions they make in this movie are, like, extremely unique to the movie, and they're really nice.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of the tech and the hardware and stuff like that, like the tank from this is super iconic.
Oh yeah,
like,
the quad. I was actually trying to figure it out. There's a name for that style of tank in the series, and it's from Stack 2. Is when it's quadrupeds or something. Yeah. But anyways, the tanks are like, you expect it to be some computer-controlled thing. No, it's still a dude in a tank.
Yeah.
It's just, it happens to have 4 legs.
Yeah, the computer-controlled ones are Techikomas at that point. But yeah. Well, they're a certain sect of the computer-controlled ones, but yeah. But, is that it for you?
It's just the whole design catalog mixed with the amazing art style Greg was talking about. It's a fantastically visual film, and it tells a lot more through that than it does even through the dialogue, really.
Yep. For me, it's going to be the story and the symbolism that they actually present in the story as well. The story itself is actually a really good little procedural, cop story.
Yep.
It's simple enough that you can get it, but it's definitely
It's the extortion racket, right?
yeah, it's the extortion racket. But it's hard enough. It's definitely like a hard enough mystery that keeps you guessing. So there's a lot of times where you're kind of like, why are they doing this thing? What's happening here? What's with divisions or Section 6? That kind of stuff.
Yeah. Like, talking about the fact that it's a detective is... It is and it isn't, because you're not introduced to all the elements that could help you figure it out. Like, that's one of the hallmarks of a detective story, right?
Yeah, I'm not saying it's a detective story.
Okay.
I'm saying it's a cop story.
Okay.
Yeah, because there's still like a chief, and he's still trying to put his feelers out. Sorry, via his agents to try and go like, you would investigate this one thing, you would go over here and check this thing out.
Yeah.
And that's the kind of the thing of that's the hallmark of a cop story versus a detective story.
Yeah.
But like it's that part plus the amount of symbolic visuals and story bits that are in the movie as well. For instance, you mentioned the opening credit scene, which they're building Kusanagi's body.
Yep.
The key part there, and we even questioned it actually at the time, was when they're peeling off the synthetic skin to reveal like the other bits of synthetic skin, I guess. They're like, show the final model.
Yep.
It's an interesting little thing they're doing there, because like this is a robot body they've created for Major Kusanagi, and it's all synthetic, but on top of that synthetic layer, that the part that looks human is another synthetic layer of like fake skin that has to be peeled away before the thing can even look partially real.
Yeah.
And that's an interesting little, like, again...
What I say, it's like peeling off a screen protector off a new phone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You did say that, yeah. But that's the way that they kind of give you that sense of, what is really real in this world.
Yeah.
And I like that. But that's it for me for that, for the best...
And I know none of us mentioned it, but I do have to say that it is very good. The soundtrack is really nice.
Oh, yeah.
Like, it doesn't have anything that I'd listen to on my computer normally, really.
I still prefer Standalone Complex's soundtrack.
Yeah, the Standalone Complex stuff is, it's a bit more modern. This stuff was a bit more evocative.
Yes.
But that's all I have to say there.
Yeah.
And, like, the sound effects and all that stuff go really... Like, they are all really top-notch. The only sound effect that actually stood out to me that didn't sound very good was... when the guy finally shoots his revolver. Like, he's in an alleyway.
It's
and
kind of a canned revolver sound, yeah.
Yeah, it's a pretty flat-sounding revolver sound. But, I mean...
That being said, I don't have a nice sound system on my TV either.
Yeah, maybe that was it.
Yeah, because I've just got stock sound on my TV. Yep. Live in an apartment building, there's no point in putting subs on the floor.
It's true, yeah. Anyways, move on to a little trivia.
Sure.
What do you guys got?
Well, I was looking it up, the trivia for this, and... just give me a sec here. There's some interesting things, like the whole thing about Kusanagi never blinking. I guess that could be considered trivia, but it is literally like she does not do normal human little bits because A, she doesn't understand them, and B, we're meant to consider her something not normal, which is sort of evocative or poignant for the character. Yeah.
All right. Greg?
I don't know. I'm just looking through.
Alright, so let's see. There we go. So in the scene where Section 6 retrieves Project 2501, the programming language on Dr. Willis's terminal screen is actual C code.
Yeah, it is. There's a really great group of people out on the internet. I can't remember what the project's called, but it's basically... They comb movies and cartoons and TV shows for any time there's a screenshot where there's a hacker or a programmer doing screen, and they'll do screen grabs and then they'll decode and figure out what it is.
Yep.
And a lot of times in the movie, it's like a very extended version of the Hello World program, the first program you ever write when you go to school or whatever.
Yeah.
But it's generally is that, just written in the most complex way possible. So it actually has some form and function to it, so it's pretty funny. I don't know what the one is from Ghost in the Shell. I've never looked up to see if it was actually something or not.
That'd be funny.
Apparently C code. Apparently C code.
Yep.
Apparently this movie was released, or it was the first anime film to be released in Japan, Britain, and the US all at the same time.
Yep.
Yep.
And it was a flop.
It was.
It was an absolute flop, which
But-
is hilarious.
Became a sleeper hit on DVD.
It's totally a cult movie now.
Yep. It's
Like,
cult hit.
anyone that has ever watched anime has watched this for sure.
Yep. Guaranteed.
Almost guaranteed.
Well, yeah. I guess I can't guarantee that for everybody, but yeah.
Yeah, because 12-year-olds probably shouldn't watch this movie.
Well, 12-year-olds probably wouldn't completely understand this.
Yeah, there's a lot of titties in the movie, though.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
It's a little naked.
Little naked, albeit it's a plastic android. It's, again, a very realistic-looking plastic android.
Yep.
So,
Yep. Let's see. Oh, yeah, there's the whole thing about them not blinking. Did we just read that one, or?
yeah,
Yeah.
I did.
Alright, cool.
Not a whole lot of trivia for this.
No, there isn't. It's a pretty straightforward movie. There's not a lot of dialogue, and that's generally where a lot of trivia comes from. Other than the whole thing about it being the same writer as Appleseed.
Shiras Mune.
Yeah.
Yeah. Same creator, yeah, was the thing. His two major hits are this and Appleseed, though. So,
Yeah.
in terms of his best works, this is considered one of his best works, is Ghost in the Shell.
Mm-hmm.
He's also done, Dominion Tank Police and, what's it called, Black Magic M66.
Oh, yeah, I still haven't
Yeah.
seen that.
I got the manga, and the manga's not very good, but...
I still haven't seen Tank Police. I want to.
Well-
New Dominion Tank Police is amazing. I have it on
Strap-
VHS if you really
strap
want to
in
watch
for
it.
2 months from now.
Yeah, I know. I know we put it on one of the lists.
Yeah.
That movie's pretty
fine with.
awesome.
Yeah.
I'll wait.
Yep. But, yeah, do you want to talk about anything else?
No, that's been it.
Alright.
So what would you guys rank this movie?
Oh, geez, what would I rank this movie? I'm probably going to have to give it 5 oversized anti-tank guns out of 5 stealth suits.
Fair.
I'll give it 3... Oh no, 2 totally outrageous exploding dudes out of 3, because I think there's a third person who doesn't quite explode. Like someone who gets shot. I think there's one person who gets shot in this movie that doesn't just explode into
Well,
the
Hold on,
true, yeah.
there's the ambassador,
at the beginning.
the guy in the car,
Yeah.
and...
And the guy that gets hit by an anti-tank round at the end of the movie in the tank doesn't explode.
No, because he himself wasn't hit. His tank was just totaled.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
shrapnel hit him or something. That being
Yeah.
said, there are 2 more fatalities, quote-unquote, at the end of the movie, too. They get their heads exploded
Yeah.
from
Exactly.
the sniper copters.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah,
Yeah.
but one of those is... Well, they're both pretty much machines.
Yeah, but it's like, yeah.
Hey man, they're people too.
Jeez, come on.
There! Fuck you!
Tristan, what's your rank?
I'm talking chunks, man. I'm talking bits of...
They got chunked!
They got turned inside out.
Chunks of fleshy bits.
They look like something you get at Montana's.
Oh my god, yeah.
The guy
tell
in
me
the
about
car is probably the best.
This
He's
is something
just
out
like-
of the Flintstones.
it. Yeah, yeah.
He looks like the monster from... he looks like the monster from The Thing.
That's
after
true,
it is
actually.
done.
Which thing?
Very true. First one.
Yeah,
You mean the first one, or do you mean the first one?
the first one.
Okay, the
So the black and white vegetable one?
second one then. Fuck you.
That pissed me off so much.
Whatever, man. The first one that really matters.
Yes, it does. It's the best one.
Shut up.
So what's your ranking?
My ranking is 4 missing Tachicomas and of 2 Batos covering the major with a jacket.
Oh, God.
So many
I'm
scenes.
so glad the Tachikomas weren't in this movie.
Yeah, that would have kind of ruined the movie. I
Yeah, it
like
would've.
the Tachicomas a lot in the series, but
Oh, absolutely. The Tachikomas are clutch to
Yeah.
the enjoyment of everything else Ghost in the
They're
Shell
so
that isn't the
adorable.
main movie.
they're adorable little tanks.
Yeah, I've got a plastic Tachikoma, I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, they're pretty great. But
I hear
also,
you got a tattoo of one on your butt, Greg.
it's
No.
true.
No?
He does. He
You
has
don't
3.
have a weird spider robot tattooed on your butt?
That would make for a cool tattoo.
Yeah, it would.
Yep. But yeah, Bato also covers the major twice with his coat in the movie.
Right at the start and right at the end.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah, do you guys have anything else to say about the Ghost in the Shell?
Fantastic movie. Go out and watch it. Really, really recommend it. It does have a few slow moments and horrible fisheye lens for no reason whatsoever. But it is a fantastic movie about what it is to be a sentient being.
It's true.
It really sort of touches that gap.
Yep.
And it's very interesting, especially when you meet the puppet master and you actually listen to his explanation. It's like, oh, clever girl.
That's true.
Even on top of that, too, like, even if you're just looking for an absolutely fantastically drawn piece of animation,
Yep.
it's definitely on the top of the list for, like, something that you probably have never seen before.
Yeah,
Yep.
it's really good.
So before we go, before I do the final closing, like us and follow us kind of thing, Chapple. I know you are a massive Cyberpunk fan, so what other movies in the Cyberpunk genre? This is closing out the Cyberpunk saga for us, so what else would you recommend?
Until we check it out again
There's
sometime.
Cyberpunk movies that you have to do it on a case-by-case basis. I can't just go out and recommend it. It depends on what you want. There's a couple that I like.
What do you like? Lay that there.
I think it's called Transhumans.
Okay.
It was a movie that was released about 6 or 7 years ago, and it's a really long, dry movie. But basically, a guy wakes up and he's in a lab, and it's an underground lab, and he's trying to navigate it, and there's something in there, and it turns out it's technology has become sentient, and it's hunting down the scientists.
Okay.
But it's in the most disgusting, worst ways possible. And it's really good because it deals with people trying to figure out how this happened, how did this thing become sentient, and it's interesting how it unfolds. Something else that's kind of cyberpunk, but it's a little harder to talk about because it might not be, is Dark City, because it's all about mind hacking.
You know, I was actually just thinking that a little while ago.
Yeah, so the argument for it is that everyone's brain has been hacked in that in some way. And the other argument is you never see that cyberpunk element until the end of the movie. Sorry, spoilers for Dark City.
Yeah, it is. Well, no, actually, we already reviewed it, so...
It's a really dark movie, and it's really delicious. And I really quite enjoy it, and I understand why people don't like it, because it doesn't have an adrenaline level that goes along with it.
No, it's a very slow movie.
It is a very slow, plotting
purposeful.
movie.
Yeah.
If I had to give two other suggestions, I'd give Metropolis, and I would totally give Appleseed. Especially if you see Ghost in the Shell and you think that this is awesome and you want to see a bit more or a different style, Appleseed's, right up the same alley.
Yeah.
That being said, there's a number of different movies. There's, the latest one is a bit weird. The one before that is Ex Machina, and it's, Appleseed Ex Machina. It's probably my favorite one so far, because it just nails that style of, it has a cartoony look to it, but it's not bad.
Yep.
The first one that they did was, kind of really bad cell shading.
Fair.
And it's dated for that.
Yeah, a little bit is. One that I'm actually kind of surprised we didn't get to is Lawnmower Man.
Yeah, that's a big one. Lawnmower Man.
The problem with that one is that it tried to use CG and it didn't go well.
Eraserhead as well. Cyberpunk.
Eraserhead, yeah. Eraserhead. Oh man, that movie.
Strange Days is also Cyberpunk.
Strange Days. 12 Monkeys?
12 Monkeys? Yeah.
Yeah. I like 12 Monkeys. Evidently the show was really good.
Yeah, I heard that.
So I'm going to have to sit down and watch that. I might watch it with you guys just to see what's going on.
I'd love to.
If we wanted a kind of schlocky, kind of Arnold Schwarzenegger movie, we could have had The Sixth Day.
Fuck that.
Come on.
If you want something actually good, and you want to keep the grit in there, Battle Angel Alita. It's actually a post-apocalyptic cyberpunk movie, or series, I guess. It's an OVA, but it's also a manga series, so I recommend reading that instead. But that's about same elements with transhumanism, what really makes a person versus a robot, but it's really dirty, it's really nasty. It's not as elegant as Ghost in the Shell, but kind of the beauty is in its pure rawness.
Yep. There's a few animes that do that. I can't think of any titles off the top of my head. But animes tend to fall into we had this great idea for a cyberpunk element, but we're going to stretch it out and whitewash it so much that it just turns into a tech element in the movie, and you're like, eh?
Yeah, if you want a really good neo-noir series, then Psycho-Pass is a good one too. So
Psycho-Pass is really good.
Yeah.
And that's definitely got some of the punk elements in it, especially the whole, you have to be careful about what you think.
Yep.
It's totally thought policing, and that anime is fantastic, and I want more of it. Put it in my body.
Oh, there's more coming out. There's a movie coming out.
But it's not fast enough. Put it in me now.
Have you seen both seasons yet?
No, I haven't seen the second season.
Second season is pretty good. The ending is a little but the rest of it's awesome.
Is it on the flicks?
Not just yet.
Okay.
Yeah.
I will go out and rent it or purchase it or whatever is required to get
Do
it.
what you got. Yeah. Though with that said, it's actually simulcast on dub. It's dubbed and subbed at the same time. So
Cool.
Like it'll come to Netflix pretty soon.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah. Yeah, that's all I can think of off the top of my head as far as animes or cyberpunk movies to go watch. It does turn out that most of them are animes.
That's true.
Like,
Cyber 6.
Yeah,
If you want to see a TV show.
That's genetics. Yeah. No, I'm saying that's
that's
special element
genetics.
they have. Yeah, that's a little bit of the genetic cybernetics, I guess.
Kind of weird show. American
Yeah,
animation.
Yeah. Well, no, it's
don't make too much of a definition
Argentinian? Yeah.
between. Oh God, how can we not talk about Ultraviolet and
and that's it, boys and girls.
What's the other one
No.
that came around that was very similar to Ultraviolet?
Aeon Flux.
Aeon Flux.
Hey man, that shit.
So when I say
show was
Aeon
pretty
Flux,
good.
I'm not talking about the movie. I'm talking about the cartoon.
Show. The show is great.
Oh my
So
god, those
it was-
movies are the worst.
So they're so good. So the idea of each of them is it takes place in a dystopian society, and there's an assassin trying to kill the head of an evil corporation. Every episode is that setup. And every episode, she gets to literally like slitting his neck, pulling the trigger on the gun, and then something stupid happens and she dies.
Yep.
And then the next episode, she's right there trying to do it again. No explanation as to why she's back. There's not a lot of dialogue in them. But she goes and she tries to kill someone, and then she steps on a nail and falls off a building. Like, and it's the weirdest art style, which is the thing that keeps you
It's
watching
very
it.
French in a way.
Yeah, it is. It's that whole what's it called? Elongated, very simple lines.
Yeah, the line's very thin, so there's not a lot of black line to it. Just very thin drawings.
Yeah.
Which is nice.
Yeah.
And if you want contenders for the best of the worst nights, then the movies.
Yeah.
Sure.
Those movies are so bad. It's not even funny.
That's pretty funny.
Ultraviolet in particular is just, visually it's really neat, some of the stuff they do, and again the concepts they come up with, but my god, are those movies bad.
Also, if you go back to them now, it's like the effects that they had, like, they weren't great for their day.
They were dated as soon as those movies were released.
Yeah, they weren't great for the day. Now they look worse than, like, what kids probably spit out at school.
Yeah.
For, like, animation.
It's pretty rough.
Like, holy crap, guys. Yeah. They're not great. But hilarious!
Yeah, true enough. You guys have anything else to say about Cyberpunk as a genre, or are there other films you want to talk about, or cartoons, or shows?
I've said my piece, I think.
Alright.
Same here.
Alright, cool.
It's
Well,
good stuff.
With that said, you guys should go forward to our website. Listen to us there. Listen to us on iTunes. Rate us on iTunes if you can. It'd be great. We're right now on Stitcher, so go to Stitcher and check us out there. We're also now have a Patreon, so go to our Patreon and give us money, please. Shilling is what I'm doing here. Give us all the money.
We really need a mixing board.
I'd love to. And go to other various sites that we're on. We're also on Podomatic, and we've got a RSS
Is the Reddit up
feed.
yet?
The Reddit's been up for a while, yeah.
Okay.
And the YouTube.
And YouTube. We're on YouTube now, so we're on there, so you can go to YouTube.
Tumblr.
We're always on Tumblr. We've been on Tumblr for a long
GeoCities.
time. GeoCities, no.
Angel Fire.
Yeah, we're on Angel Fire, sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
You got a friend.
Does GeoCities actually still exist?
Yes.
I
in a
don't know if it
way.
exists or if it's just archived pages now that are still the GeoCities address.
You should make us a GeoCities page if you can.
Yeah. I actually followed a link the other day and it brought me to an Angel Fire page and I just about shit myself. I was like, what the fuck is my mind? It's being hacked. Oh no. What's going on?
That's really the best way to hide on the internet, is to use the most rudimentary, crappy websites ever.
And of course, our Tumblr is at everything, or at eifnirpodcast. So, go forth and follow us in any way you can, and
Cool.
please rate and do whatever you want to give us a review. It'd be awesome. We always want to hear your feedback, so let us know.
Yeah.
And with that, that's going to cap off Cyberpunk month, and we'll be back next week with more movies to review, and of course, we'll be back this week with our regular show and that kind of stuff. So, see ya whenever we can.
See ya.
See you next time.
Say it.